The last train out of downtown Seattle smelled like rain and regret. Amara Lewis had exactly 12 minutes before her stop, and her body had already started shutting down. 72 hours. 3 double shifts. Her scrubs still carried the metallic tang of the ER, and her eyes burned with exhaustion that coffee couldn't touch anymore. She collapsed into the empty car, grateful for the silence. The city blurred past the windows, neon reflections on wet glass, the Space Needle a distant sentinel in the darkness. She didn't notice the man in the corner, didn't see the way his dark eyes tracked her movement, cataloging threat level, calculating risk. Seo Kang-min had taken this train for 5 years, always the last car, always alone. Men who lived in his world knew better than to sit near him. This woman didn't know. Didn't see the danger in the expensive watch, the too perfect posture, the white shirt with 4 buttons undone that revealed the edge of black ink curling up his neck. Her head dropped, slowly, inevitably. It landed on his shoulder. He should have moved. Should have let her fall. Should have done what he always did. Remain untouchable, unreachable, alone. He didn't move, and that single choice would change everything. Kang-min's first thought was tactical. Threat assessment. The woman against his shoulder weighed maybe 130, exhausted beyond consciousness. Scrubs meant medical. The hospital badge clipped to her pocket read, Harborview Medical Center, A. Lewis RN. Night shift rotation explained the collapsed state. No wedding ring, calloused hands, the faint scent of antiseptic and something floral. Shea butter, maybe. Not a threat, just tired. His second thought was more dangerous. She feels warm. He'd forgotten what that felt like. Human contact without calculation, without the weight of violence that followed him everywhere. For 3 years, every person who came within arm's reach either feared him or wanted something from him. This woman knew nothing, expected nothing. She just slept. The train rocked through Capitol Hill, and her breath evened out against his shoulder, soft, trusting, completely unaware that the man she'd chosen as a pillow had ordered 3 executions in the past month alone. Kang-min's jaw tightened. He should wake her. Her phone buzzed in her lap. The screen lit up with a text. Mara, you alive? Don't forget Jordan's tuition is due Friday. Love you. J. Jordan. Brother, probably. Tuition meant debt. The kind that kept people working themselves to death in hospitals, riding empty trains at 2 a.m., too exhausted to notice danger sitting right beside them. The train announced her stop. Columbia City. 3 minutes. He still didn't move. At 2 minutes, her body started to shift, instinct pulling her toward wakefulness. At 1 minute, her eyes fluttered open. She blinked, disoriented, then froze completely as she realized where her head had been resting. Oh my God. She jerked upright, heat flooding her face. I'm so sorry. I work nights and I'm so sorry. Kang-min turned his head slowly, giving her the full weight of his attention. Most people looked away when he did this. This woman, Amara, met his eyes directly, embarrassment warring with something else. Concern, maybe, like she thought she'd bothered him. It's fine, he said. His voice came out lower than intended, rougher. He never used it much anymore. It's not fine, I literally fell asleep on a stranger. She stood quickly, grabbing her bag as the train slowed. I'm really sorry. Thank you for not, pushing me onto the floor or something. The doors opened. She moved toward them, then paused, glancing back. Are you okay? The question caught him off guard. No one asked him that. Ever. I'm fine. She nodded, unconvinced, then stepped onto the platform. The doors closed between them. Kang-min watched her walk away, shoulders squared despite the exhaustion, head up despite the hour. Determined. Resilient. He pulled out his phone and typed a single message to Jay. Run a background check. Amara Lewis, Nurse, Harborview Medical Center. Nothing invasive, just verification. The response came immediately. Boss, this isn't like you. Kang-min stared at the message, then deleted the conversation entirely. Jay was right. This wasn't like him. That was the problem. 3 nights later, she was there again. Same train, same time, same exhausted collapse into the seat. This time she saw him immediately, and her eyes widened with recognition. Oh, hi. She hesitated, then sat 3 seats away. Respectful distance. I promise I won't use you as a pillow again. Kang Min's mouth curved slightly, not quite a smile, but close. It didn't bother me. Still, boundaries exist for a reason. She pulled out her phone, clearly intending to stay awake this time. Silence settled between them, not uncomfortable, just present. After 2 stops, she spoke again. Long day? He considered lying, considered saying nothing. Instead, he said, something like that. Yeah. She leaned her head back against the window. I get that. Some days feel longer than others. What do you do? He knew. He'd read Jay's report. Registered nurse, trauma unit, 3 years at Harborview. Mother deceased, father absent, 1 younger brother. Medical debt, $67,000. Student loans, $43,000. Never married. No criminal record. Nothing that explained why he couldn't stop thinking about the weight of her head on his shoulder. ER nurse, trauma unit. She smiled tiredly. It's rewarding and exhausting. Mostly exhausting lately. Why nursing? She looked at him, surprised by the question. My mom, she had cancer. The nurses who took care of her. They made the worst time of our lives bearable. I wanted to be that for someone else. There was no self-pity in her voice, just fact, just truth. Kang Min found himself wanting to know more, wanting to ask about her brother, her debt, why someone who saved lives looked so worn down herself. But the train was slowing for her stop. She stood, shouldering her bag. What's your name? He shouldn't tell her, shouldn't give her anything real. Kang Min. Amara. She smiled, genuine, warm. Maybe I'll see you around, Kang Min. She disappeared onto the platform before he could respond. Jay's voice echoed in his head. This isn't like you. No, it wasn't, but he was already planning to take the same train tomorrow night. It became a ritual, neither of them named. Every night, same train, same time. They sat together now, not touching but close. Conversations came easier. Small things at first. The weather, the city, safe topics that revealed nothing and everything. Kang Min learned she took her coffee black with too much sugar, that she hummed when she thought no one was listening, that she had a younger brother named Jordan studying pre-med at UW, brilliant and determined, the reason she worked herself to exhaustion. She learned he was in import-export, which was technically true if you counted human trafficking as import-export, that he was second-generation Korean-American, that he never talked about his family. What she didn't know was that he'd already dismantled a cartel operation targeting Seattle nurses for identity theft, that he'd rerouted 3 shipments to avoid her hospital during a federal raid, that he had a team watching her apartment building 24/7 since the second night they'd spoken. Protection she never asked for. Danger she didn't know existed. You're different, she said one night, 3 weeks into their routine. Kang Min's attention sharpened. Different how? Contained. Like you're holding something back all the time. She wasn't looking at him, just staring out at the passing lights. I see it at work sometimes. Trauma patients who've seen too much. They get this look, present but distant. You have that look. His chest tightened. She was too observant, too close to truth. Maybe I've just seen a lot, he said carefully. Yeah. Her voice softened. I think you have. The train swayed through a turn and she leaned slightly into him, instinctive, natural. Her shoulder brushed his. The contact lasted 3 seconds. It felt like fire. Kang Min's control, the iron discipline that had kept him alive for 15 years in a world that ate the weak, cracked. Just slightly, just enough. Amara. She turned and their faces were suddenly too close. Her breath caught. His eyes dropped to her mouth, full lips slightly parted. He could smell her shea butter and exhaustion, and something underneath that was just her. The train announced her stop. Neither of them moved. I should go, she whispered. You should. She didn't. The doors opened, closed. The train pulled away from her stop. I missed it, she said, but she didn't sound upset. I noticed. Kang Min. His name on her lips did something to him, something dangerous and irreversible. What are we doing? Running toward disaster, inviting death, choosing the one thing I can't have. I don't know, he lied. Her hand moved, tentative, questioning, until her fingers brushed his where they rested on his knee. The touch was electric, dangerous, absolutely forbidden. He should pull away, should end this before it became something that could destroy them both. Instead, he turned his hand over and laced his fingers through hers. The universe punished them immediately. 2 nights later, Kang Min saw the black SUV idling across from the train station. Wrong model for civilian use, tinted windows too dark for legal, position too perfect for coincidence. Mikhail Volkov's crew. His blood went cold. They'd been watching, calculating, identifying weaknesses in an organization known for having none, and they'd found her, found the one thing that could break him. Kang Min called Jay before Amara appeared. Code Red. Volkov's crew at Columbia City Station. Civilian compromise. Jesus Christ. Jay's voice was tight. Boss, you need to extract yourself now before she's here. Amara emerged from the station entrance, bag over her shoulder, completely unaware of the predators watching her. Kang Min's training screamed at him. Abort, distance, disappear. His heart said something else entirely. He met her at the platform entrance, moving faster than usual. Her smile faded when she saw his face. What's wrong? Nothing. I need to leave early tonight. Confusion flickered across her features. Oh, okay, is everything... It's fine. I just can't do this anymore. The words came out harder than he intended. Harsher. Designed to wound. To push her away. To save her life. Her expression shuttered. Do what? This. Whatever this is. It was a mistake. The hurt in her eyes made something inside him crack. But hurt was better than dead. Hurt could heal. Dead was permanent. I see. Her voice went flat, professional, the nurse voice she probably used to deliver bad news to families. Well, thanks for being honest. She turned and walked away without looking back. Kang Min watched until she disappeared, then pulled out his phone. Jay. I need full surveillance on Amara Lewis 24/7, no gaps, and find out everything about Volkov's movements in the last week. You're making this worse, you know that? I know. She's a civilian. If Volkov thinks she matters to you... She doesn't. The lie tasted like ash. Amara didn't take the train for 5 days. Kang Min knew because his security team reported every movement. She worked double shifts, slept at the hospital, avoided the train station entirely. Smart, self-protective. It was killing him. On the 6th night, she appeared. Different route, earlier time, deliberate avoidance of their old schedule. She looked exhausted, shadows under her eyes deeper, shoulders tight with stress. Kang Min followed 3 cars behind. He'd become what he swore he'd never be, obsessed, compromised, weak. The irony wasn't lost on him. 15 years of building an empire on calculated violence and emotional detachment, destroyed by a woman who fell asleep on his shoulder. Rain started as she exited the station, typical Seattle weather, sudden and thorough. She didn't have an umbrella. Didn't run, just walked through it like she'd stopped caring about staying dry. He caught up at the intersection near her apartment. Amara. She spun, eyes wide, then narrowed when she recognized him. You've got to be kidding me. I need to talk to you. You said it was a mistake. Message received, now leave me alone. She turned away. He caught her wrist, gentle but firm. I lied. The rain soaked through his white shirt, plastering it to his chest. The ink on his neck was fully visible now, the traditional Korean tiger that marked him as both predator and protector, violence and restraint. She stared at the tattoo, then at his face. Why would you lie? Because getting close to me is dangerous. That's dramatic. It's true. Something in his voice must have convinced her, because her anger shifted into concern. What are you talking about? What kind of danger? He couldn't tell her. Couldn't explain that men like Mikhail Volkov would use her, hurt her, kill her just to prove a point. Couldn't admit that every moment they spent together painted a target on her back. So instead, he did the most selfish thing he'd ever done. He kissed her. It wasn't gentle, wasn't tentative. It was months of restraint breaking, weeks of wanting, days of staying away, all collapsing into a single moment of absolute surrender. Her bag hit the sidewalk, her hands fisted in his soaked shirt, pulling him closer, even as rain poured over them both. She tasted like coffee and determination, and everything he'd denied himself for years. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, her eyes were dark with desire and confusion. "That," she said shakily, "was not an explanation." "I know." "Kang-min, what's going on, really?" He should tell her, should warn her properly, should give her the truth she deserved. Instead, he said, "Just be careful. Pay attention to your surroundings. If you see anything strange, anyone following you, call the police immediately." "You're scaring me." "Good. You should be scared." He stepped back, putting necessary distance between them, even though every instinct screamed to pull her close and never let go. "Stay away from me, Amara, for your own safety." This time, when she walked away, her steps were slower, uncertain, and Kang-min knew he'd just made everything infinitely worse. The signs started small. A car parked outside her building that didn't belong to any resident. The same man at the coffee shop 3 days in a row. Her apartment door slightly ajar when she came home from a shift. Nothing stolen, nothing disturbed, just open. Amara wasn't stupid. She'd grown up in Seattle, knew how to read a neighborhood, how to sense when something was off. Something was very off. She called the police twice. Both times, they found nothing. Both times, they suggested she was stressed, working too hard, seeing patterns where none existed. On the 8th night after Kang-min's warning, she came home to find her door not just ajar, but forced. The lock was broken, splintered wood, professional work. Her heart hammered against her ribs as she pulled out her phone. She should leave, should run, should call 911. She stepped inside instead. The apartment was dark, silent, but occupied. She felt it, that animal awareness that something predatory was waiting. "Hello, Amara." The voice came from her living room, accented, cold. A man stepped into the hallway light, middle-aged, expensive suit, eyes like a shark. 2 more men appeared behind him. "My name is Mikhail Volkov," he continued pleasantly, "and we need to have a conversation about Seo Kang-min." Amara's nurse training kicked in. The same calm that helped her handle trauma patients now steadied her voice. "I don't know who that is." Volkov smiled. "Don't insult my intelligence. You've been meeting him every night for weeks, train stations, coffee shops. Last week, you kissed in the rain like something from a movie." He moved closer. Very romantic. Very stupid. Her mind raced. These men knew about Kang-min, knew about their meetings, which meant whatever danger Kang-min had warned her about was standing in her living room. "What do you want?" "Nothing from you, dear. You're simply leverage. Kang-min has something that belongs to me. A shipping route. Very valuable, very non-negotiable. He'll return it or—" Volkov gestured casually toward her. "Well, you understand." "You're insane. I'm calling the police." She moved for her phone. One of Volkov's men crossed the distance faster than she could react, grabbing her wrist with bruising force. "I don't think so." Amara did what any ER nurse would do when grabbed by a hostile patient. She fought. Her knee came up hard. The man cursed, grip loosening. She twisted free, grabbed the lamp from the side table, swung it with everything she had. Glass shattered. The man stumbled. Volkov's expression shifted from pleasant to dangerous. "Restrain her." Both men moved forward. Amara screamed. Not from fear, but from fury, from the absolute refusal to be a victim in her own home. The front door exploded inward. Kang-min appeared like something from a nightmare, or a savior, depending on perspective. But this wasn't the controlled man from the train. This was something else entirely. Violence incarnate. He moved with terrifying precision. The first man went down before Amara even processed what happened. A strike to the throat, another to the temple, unconscious before hitting the floor. The second man pulled a gun. Kang-min was faster. The weapon clattered away. Bone cracked. The man screamed. Kang-min didn't stop, didn't hesitate, didn't show mercy. Just cold, efficient, brutal elimination of threats. Volkov backed toward the window. "You're making a mistake, Seo. She's just a woman. Not worth starting a war." Kang-min's voice was unrecognizable. Rough, dangerous, absolutely lethal. "Touch her again, and I'll burn your entire operation to the ground. Every warehouse, every route, every person who works for you. I'll erase you so completely that even your mother won't remember your name." "For a nurse?" Volkov laughed, but it was shaky. "You've gone soft." No. Kang Min stepped forward, and even Amara felt the menace rolling off him. I've just found something worth protecting. Now get out before I change my mind about letting you live. Volkov fled. His men followed, one limping, one unconscious, and dragged. Silence crashed down. Kang Min turned slowly to face Amara. His white shirt was torn, revealing more of that black tiger tattoo. Blood spattered his face, not his own. His dark eyes were still cold, still dangerous, still locked in whatever violence mode he'd entered. Then he saw her expression, and everything in him crumbled. Amara, she stepped back. Who are you? I can explain. You just broke into my apartment and beat 3 men unconscious. Her voice shook. You threatened to burn down someone's entire operation. She stared at the unconscious man on her floor. Oh my God, what are you? I'm someone who shouldn't have gotten close to you. He took a careful step forward. She took one back. His jaw tightened. I knew this would happen. I tried to stay away. You're a criminal. It wasn't a question. The realization settled over her like ice water. Every warning sign she'd ignored, every strange comment, every moment of contained violence she'd sensed but dismissed. Yes. The single word was worse than any explanation. No justification, no excuses, just truth. What do you do? Her voice barely worked. What? What kind of criminal? Kang Min met her eyes directly. The kind you read about and hope isn't real. Import-export was true, just not the legal kind. I run an organization that moves things across borders. Some of those things are drugs, some are weapons, some are worse. Amara's stomach twisted. People? Not anymore. I shut down that division 3 years ago. Oh, well, thank God you have standards, she said, voice breaking on hysteria. I've been sitting next to a human trafficker on the train. I kissed her. I know what I am. His voice was rough. I've known since the first night. That's why I should never have spoken to you, never touched you, never. He stopped, jaw working. But I did. And now Volkov knows you matter, which means you'll never be safe. The words hung between them. Heavy with implications Amara didn't want to understand. So what happens now? Now I fix this. Kang Min pulled out his phone. Jay, send the extraction team to Columbia City address. Full relocation package, new identity if she wants it, financial security, protection detail for life. What? No. Amara found her voice. You don't get to do that. You don't get to upend my entire life because you... Because I what? The words came out harsh, raw. Because I made the mistake of caring about someone. Because for the first time in 15 years I let someone get close enough to be used against me. Because I chose you over everything I built. The confession hit like a physical blow. I didn't ask for that, she whispered. I know. That's what made it so easy to fall. Kang Min's team arrived within 10 minutes. Efficient, silent, professional. They swept the apartment, removed the unconscious man, replaced the broken door, erased all evidence that violence had ever occurred. Amara watched from the corner, numb. One of them approached her, a Korean man around Kang Min's age with kind eyes. I'm Jay. I've been assigned to explain your options. I don't want options. I want to go back to yesterday. I understand, but yesterday doesn't exist anymore. He gestured to the couch. She sat automatically. Mikhail Volkov doesn't forget. He doesn't forgive. Right now you're marked as Seo Kang Min's weakness. That makes you a target for every rival organization in the Pacific Northwest. So I need to disappear. That's one option. New identity, new city, new life. We can make you vanish completely. You'd be safe. What about Jordan, my brother? He'd be told you died. It's the only way to keep him safe, too. Amara's chest constricted. What's the other option? Jay glanced toward where Kang Min stood by the window, deliberately giving them space. The boss destroys Volkov completely, eliminates every threat, makes it clear that touching you means death. Then you decide if you want to stay in Seattle with permanent protection or leave anyway. And if I just choose neither, if I just go back to my life, you'd be dead within a week. The blunt assessment shouldn't have surprised her. Nothing about this night made sense. Nothing about the man by the window matched the person she'd been falling for on the train. I need time. You have until morning. After that, the boss needs to move against Volkov or risk full-scale war. Jay left. The team finished and filed out. Eventually only Kang Min remained. He turned from the window slowly. I'm sorry. For which part? Lying to me? Putting me in danger? Breaking into my home? Or for making me fall for someone who doesn't really exist? He exists. Kang Min's voice was quiet. The man on the train was real. Everything I told you was true. I just left out the parts that would make you run. You should have let me run. I know. Amara stood, exhaustion and adrenaline and heartbreak warring inside her. I've spent 3 years saving lives. Every shift, every patient, every desperate family. I chose to help people, that's who I am. She met his eyes. Who are you, Kang Min? Really? He was silent for a long moment. Then, I'm someone who was born into violence and never learned how to leave it. My father built an empire on blood and I inherited it. I've killed people, destroyed families, done things that would make you sick. He paused. But when I met you, I remembered what it felt like to be human, to want something other than power and control. You made me remember who I was before all of this. And who was that? Someone who wanted to be good. His voice cracked slightly. Someone who still had a choice. The admission hung between them, raw, honest, devastating. Amara moved toward the door. I need you to leave. Amara, please, I need to think, and I can't do that with you here. He nodded stiffly and walked to the door, paused with his hand on the frame. Whatever you choose, I'll make sure you're safe. That's not negotiable. But the rest, he looked back at her one final time. I meant what I said. You belong to... He stopped. You deserved better than this. Better than me. Then he was gone. Amara collapsed onto the couch and let herself cry for the first time all night. Not from fear. From the terrible realization that despite everything, despite the violence, the lies, the danger, part of her still wanted him. The worst part was knowing he'd seen that in her eyes. The Seattle Times ran a small article buried in the metro section. Russian businessman Mikhail Volkov found dead in warehouse fire, authorities investigating. No one connected it to the systematic dismantling of his organization over the previous months. No one noticed how his associates disappeared one by one. No one questioned why certain shipping routes suddenly became available again. Amara read the article 3 times. She'd chosen to stay, not because of fear. Jay's protection detail was discreet but thorough. She stayed because running would mean Jordan lost his sister, her patients lost their nurse. She lost the life she'd built through sheer determination and sacrifice. And maybe, she'd admitted to herself around month 3, she stayed because leaving meant never knowing if the man on the train had been real. She hadn't seen Kang Min since that night. The protection detail never approached her. Her door was fixed. Her life continued as if none of it had happened, except for the black SUV that was always parked somewhere nearby. Watching. Protecting. Tonight, she took the train home from a double shift. Same route, same time, same exhaustion. The car was empty except for one person. Kang Min sat in their old spot, white shirt with 4 buttons undone, tiger tattoo visible on his neck. He looked different, older somehow, more tired, but his eyes found hers immediately, and the recognition was instant, electric. Amara's breath caught. She should keep walking, should take a different car, should protect herself from making the same mistake twice. She sat down next to him. Hi, she said quietly. Hi. Silence stretched, not uncomfortable, just waited with everything unsaid. I read about Volkov, she finally said. Good riddance. Did you... Yes. The single word should have horrified her, should have sent her running. Instead, she felt only a terrible sense of relief that the threat was gone. Why are you here, Kang Min? He turned to face her fully. Because I've spent 6 months making sure you'd never be in danger again. I've restructured everything, changed routes, eliminated threats, built walls around you. He paused. And now I'm here to offer you a choice. A real one, this time. What choice? I can disappear completely. You'll never see me again. Protection stays in place, but I'm gone from your life. His voice roughened. Or I can stay on your terms, at your pace, with complete honesty about what I am and what that means. No lies, no illusions, just the truth and the knowledge that being with me will always carry risk. Amara's heart hammered. That's not fair. You can't just show up and... You belong to me. The words, the title phrase, stopped her cold. Not possessive, not controlling. Just true, stated like a fact he'd been carrying for months. That's not how it works, as she said, but her voice shook. I know, but it doesn't make it less true. He leaned closer, and she could smell him. Familiar, dangerous, devastatingly real. I belong to you too. Have since the night you fell asleep on my shoulder. That's the problem. I can't turn it off. Can't walk away. Can't stop making sure you're safe even when you hate me for it. I don't hate you. You should. I know. She closed her eyes. God, I really should. When she opened them, he was watching her with an expression that broke something inside her. Hope and desperation and the terrible vulnerability of someone who'd never learned how to ask for what they wanted. If I choose you, she said slowly, I need rules, real ones. I don't live in your world. We don't appear in public together. You don't involve me in your business, ever. And if it gets too dangerous, if I say I'm done, you let me go. Completely. Agreed. And you have to try to be better. I'm not asking you to become a saint, but I need to know you're trying. Something flickered in his expression. Surprise, maybe, like no one had ever asked that of him before. I don't know if I can be what you need, he admitted. I don't know if you can either, but I need you to try. The train announced her stop. This time, they both stood. Come home with me, she said. Not a question, not quite a demand, just an invitation. Kang Min took her hand, the same careful, deliberate touch from months ago. Are you sure? No, but I'm choosing you anyway. They walked out together into the Seattle rain, and Amara knew with absolute certainty that this would never be a normal relationship, would never be safe, would never be the life she'd imagined, but it would be real. And sometimes real was better than safe. Jordan didn't understand why his sister's boyfriend never stayed over, why they never took photos together, why Amara kept that part of her life carefully separate, but he liked Kang Min anyway, the quiet man who'd funded an anonymous scholarship that covered Jordan's last 2 years of tuition, who'd helped Amara pay off her medical debt through some mysterious investment opportunity, who looked at his sister like she was the only person in the world. He's intense, Jordan said one morning over coffee. Amara smiled into her cup. Yeah, he is. But he makes you happy. It wasn't quite happiness, more like peace inside chaos, safety inside danger, love inside conditions, both of them understood but never spoke aloud. Yeah, she said again, he does. That night, she took the train home as usual. Kang Min was waiting in their spot, always there, always watching for threats, always making sure she arrived safely. Hey, she said, sliding in next to him. Hey. He pulled her close, and she let herself lean into his shoulder, exactly where this had all started. Outside, rain streaked the windows. Inside, the warmth of his body anchored her, reminded her that she'd chosen this, chosen him, chosen the complicated, dangerous, impossible reality of loving a man who lived in shadows. I love you, she said quietly. Kang Min's arm tightened around her. I know. That's the terrifying part. Why terrifying? Because I love you too, and I'm not supposed to be capable of that. Amara smiled against his shoulder. Too late now. Yeah. He pressed a kiss to the top of her head. Too late. The train carried them through the night. Two people who shouldn't have worked, who defied every rule, who chose each other anyway despite all the reasons they shouldn't. And somehow, against all odds, they made it work. Not perfectly, not safely, not in any way that made sense to the outside world. But it was theirs, and that was enough.